This one's for you, Nichols. This movie review is uh, filmed on a whim because my friend on Twitter said to do it, so I'ma do it. Yeah, now, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Popular film, isn't it? A 8.4 on IMDb and 97% on Rotten Tomatoes and 85% of Google reviewers like the movie. That's a lot of people who like the movie and a lot of people with good opinions on it and a lot of good articles written on it, but they all don't matter because my opinion is the only one that's valid here. So let me talk about my favorite Spider-Man movie. Now, Spider-Man, before we talk about this particular movie, we should talk about the whole history of Spider-Man movies. Now, I'm pretty sure I wasn't alive to see the whole original Spider-Man trilogy to start coming out in theaters with Tobey Maguire. Uh, I definitely enjoyed them as a kid and still as a teenager now. And something about those Spider-Man films, even finishing the trilogy, moving on to the Amazing Spider-Man series, and then now at the Spider-Man Homecoming series, and then finally the animated Spider-Man series. Something about them just pulls me in, something different to normal superhero movies. And for years, I've been searching for what that reason is, why Spider-Man felt so special and so different from the flashy Batman, Superman, Iron Man series. Well, recently, with the release of this film and then the Spider-Man No Way Home finishing mark of the Homecoming trilogy, got me thinking, and I had a revelation. Normally, when we talk about superheroes, I'm pretty sure the literal definition is superhero meaning a hero with superpowers. Normally, to people who do things that cannot be done by normal people, ordinary people. Like they would fly, shoot lasers from their hands, or in this case, climb walls. And ever since the first superhero comic, arguably, let's say Superman, it's always been, the goody two shoes, Boy Scout, beat the villain, save the people, hooray. And also, it'll be like a massive destruction they leave behind. And it's always been that. Heroes, they're good people. And then they have superpowers, so they do good things with it. But then Spider-Man has been different. I'm not an original Spider-Man fan. I'm talking only about the movies here. But if you see, like, kind of look closer to these Spider-Man films, it's not just a film about Spider-Man. It's a film about Peter Parker as well. The whole dichotomy between the hero, the super, everyone loves Spider-Man, and then the normal, ordinary, awkward, can't get, always gets fights in with girlfriends and has a super rich friend, Peter Parker. Spider-Man, sure, yeah, he fights against supervillains and he does the right thing, but then you also see the very human side of Peter Parker, the man behind the mask. And recently, Spider-Man has been more focused on the whole both sides thingy, like which one is the real person. It's like different personas. And what really drove home that revelation was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. In the film, the Spider-Man we all know and love dies. I hope this not is a spoiler, but he just straight up dies. The one that we all looked up to, like he's a superhero. He has superpowers. He could shoot webs from his head. I don't know how that happens. There's no holes here, but he dies. just dies, and it's revealed that he's Peter Parker, an ordinary dude that just has the sense enough to do the right thing, and obviously sometimes make mistakes. And then that role gets passed on to, who would you know, awkward, nerdy, normal kid, Miles Morales. But he now is the next Spider-Man. And that film really drives in the responsibility aspect of the whole Spider-Man series has. Miles Morales gets put on this whole shoulder of basically you have to save the world sort of weight on his shoulders with his newfound power. But it's not always flashy fights and heroes victories that a superhero gets. You see his hardships in becoming Spider-Man, becoming something that's greater than he is, and the struggles he finds when things don't always go his way. And that's not apparent, that's apparent not just in Miles, but in all the people around him. The Spider-Man from the fat Spider-Man from the other universe, Gwendolyn, who was like apparently this amazing Spider Girl, but you know fails to save her friend. All these other Spider Men, Spider people, that always have this kind of lingering regret in their lives, and all I could say about that type of writing is that it humanizes the inhumane. Superheroes are defined as someone who has powers that's not human. But then you see their hardships, their regrets, their sadness, and also their happiness, what they do and who they are under all the weight and all the behind the mask. It's very human. You relate to them, and it sort of grounds you as a viewer to do the same of yourself. You look at Miles, and you look at the film, you see Miles, and you just feel like that could be me. I could be flying across New York, shooting webs from holes that don't exist in my wrists. But then, so it's the same for him. He's just a normal kid like me. He could be imagining these, like, oh, I wish I was flying across New York when he was seeing the original Spider-Man. It sort of, like I said, grounds you and sort of makes you think back. You know, these Supermen we idolize, and not just Superman, just the normal people we idolize in everyday lives. They could be us, and we could be them. So it both makes us empathize with the people who are not meant to be empathized, and sort of motivates us to bring out the best of in each other. Now, I won't go too much into the story of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse because I'm sure some people haven't seen this great film, and with the second movie coming out soon, a lot of people will be scrambling to, you know, go through their Netflixes and watch the film, which I do highly recommend. And these were just my short thoughts on what the writers of this film wanted to convey and what I got from it. And to avoid spoilers and also talk about things I'm good at talking about, let's move on to the freaking animation of this movie. Now, I watched Into the Spider-Verse twice. The first time I watched it wasn't when it released. It was like a year after. We're in an airplane. So you imagine the quality of the viewing experience I had. But I cried on the plane after. It was beautiful. The colors, the animation. When I came back home, like off the plane, I went and watched a Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse analysis video, and there it explained the movie used comic sources like the sound effects or punching and flashy textures. And also they dynamically changed the frame rate of the movie to make certain scenes more smoother and certain scenes more rougher, to create this sort of like unsure presence of the film. And as the film goes on, you can feel more smoother, and that's also Miles's um, self perception. Just go watch that video. It's a great analysis. But all I could say is this defined what I called good animation. 10 out of 10. Go see it. This was just a quick rant because my friend freaking Nichols, you told me on Twitter to do this, and I did it. I'm in pain now. I should go to bed. Bye.